Hello, everyone. We are back again. Week 3, FanDuel tight ends. Jason, I'm in a good mood this afternoon. You know
I'm
why?
glad you are.
You know why?
Why?
I just watched some Dave Chappelle stand-up popped up on my YouTube. Felt like I'd dive in for a few minutes. That guy's a magician.
So that's why we're recording at 5 instead of 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's why. Anyhow, beyond my little Dave Chappelle recommendation, we got some other recommendations that are much more applicable here. Some cash game, punt, and potential, tournament game changers for you. What are we looking at for cash games, Jason?
Cash games, if you're paying up, it's hard not to go with Delaney Walker. I like him over Olsen and Reed just because he's a little bit cheaper. FanDuel, it is a little bit easier to kind of get up and pay for a tight end if you want to go that route. And I think Walker's the kind of the clear-cut guy I'm looking at. You look at Oakland, we saw Jacob Tammy, who is not a good athlete whatsoever, pretty much run all over him last week. I just think with Walker and them kind of probably be trying to play catch up for most of this game, Walker is 6,900, who I'm going to be looking at, especially after a bounce back week against the Lions, who, I mean, really, you can target any tight end against the Lions at this point.
Yeah, I don't think the Raiders are as bad as they've looked, but they're still certainly not an elite defense by any means, and certainly like the matchup there for Delaney. That's a great pay up if you are. Dennis Pitt at 5K. I like this quite a bit. What do you see in there?
5K, I mean, one, the price is tremendous. He's only 500 more than a lot of the guys you would want to punt with. If you're looking at Jesse James, it just doesn't make sense to me to use him for 500 less. I'd rather just spend that and get Pitta. Although Jesse James is out there, he'll get some looks, but I think in terms of upside, Pitta has a little bit more, especially if he can grab a touchdown. Because, I mean, coming off a week 2 targets of 12, he has 16 so far this season. I just think Joe Flacco is going to throw the ball a ton this year because that running game is non-existent. Less than the 4 yards per carry. Forsett, Terrence West, they don't look like they're really getting anything going. And I think the Jags are actually going to play better this week. So I think this one could actually be a shootout. Pitta, regardless of how the game flow really goes, I think he's just going to be of service just because of that price.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Mark Trestman, I mean, we know he loves to pass the ball. So I think this trend will continue at least for the near future with Pitta. Love that price. And it's just so easy to slot him in and then, pay up for some of the wide receivers this week. So definitely looking at that direction. Jordan Reed, we're on the same page here. I'm assuming you like him because you're going to get that ownership. Based on how on the same page we are this week, I'm wondering if that ownership might be a little higher than we're both expecting. But, I still don't expect it to be more than 8% in tournaments.
I don't think so. I mean, Jordan Reed, 7,500. I would have liked the difference between him and Walker to be a little bit more, but I still think Reed is going to be the lower-owned guy here. At the Giants, a team that he averaged 97 yards per game against last year, I like paying up for him because also you have a lot of guys like Travis Benjamin, Stephon Diggs who are going to be used, and you can certainly pair Reed and hope for that monster upside game and still probably get an Antonio Brown in there as well. And I just like this matchup. I think the Giants secondary is better, but I still think they lack a little bit against tight ends. We know Reed's going to get his targets. He's already seen 17 this year. That's just one behind Witten and Olsen for the league lead. And we just know he's the go-to guy in Washington. I think people are going to look at Washington and worry about Kirk Cousins. And one, he's on the road. We saw last year Kirk Cousins does have kind of Drew Brees-like home and road splits. But I think that kind of sets things back. I just like Reed quite a bit. I think overall that upside is kind of along the lines of kind of those top wide receivers as well. Not Brown or anyone, but kind of stepping lower than that. I'm
disappointed in you, Jason.
Why?
You had a chance to say his home road splits are dreary, but you said Drew Brees instead. So I'm going to let this one slide. But next time, dreary is a great word to throw in there when the outlook is looking a little cloudy.
Well done, Russ.
Thank you. Dwayne Allen, 6,100. I'm in on both Colts tight ends this week. What are you seeing with Allen against the Chargers here?
One, I think there is going to be a few targets that go his way extra this week because of the Moncrief injury. I'm not particularly thrilled with the matchups for Hilton or Dorsett in terms of the corners they're going to be going up against. I still think volume is just going to override that, though, this week in terms of obviously having Andrew Luck throwing. San Diego so far ranks 23rd against tight ends. We've seen them struggle a little bit. Fifth most fantasy points so far to them. One thing in the red zone, Hilton and Dorsett are not red zone guys. You're going to see a lot of Dwayne Allen, a lot of Jack Doyle, who's also in play. I know you like him too as a swerve, as kind of threats down inside the red zone. So as far as touchdowns go, I would not be surprised. Both of those guys, between the two of them, I think two. I really think is certainly doable. Not each, obviously, just between the two of them, I think two come from that cast there.
I definitely agree. I get why you'd be hedging your bets on the Colts right now, at least a tiny bit, but I'm all in on Luck this week. So if I'm looking for stacking options, it's going to be Allen if I'm looking for a cash option, honestly. I know you have him as a GPP guy here, but if you're looking for that mid-range, I think he's kind of in a tier all by himself. I really like the chance of a touchdown.
Yeah, I do too. He's certainly cash game playable. I just like him as a GPP. I like that kind of that stack, as you mentioned, in tournaments too.
And obviously, you threw Pitta in there. I mean, Pitta's the better option. I would never debate that. And 1,100 less, so that's a lot. Now, as for Jack Doyle, he's min. Are you looking at him on FanDuel, or is that a little too like he's 2,500 on DK, which is just egregious? Like that's such a pay down compared to everyone else. But is this not as big of a deal with Pitta there?
I think that's one of the reasons I left off the punt because I believe the Pitta difference was over
Right.
a grand between some of those cheap guys. That's the reason I don't like James. I don't mind Doyle. I do like Doyle over James because I think it's just a much more viable option. But yeah, I do think in GPPs you can go that route and go 500 less because I still think Pitta's going to be popular. So it is a swerve off of him. I wouldn't go that low in cash though. I just think Pitta's the stronger play.
Right, and like at 25 on DK, it's like if he catches a touchdown, he's basically hitting value already. 4,500, if he gets 7 or 8 points, that's not going to do it for you in a tournament. So just something to think about for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I think you can kind of look at Pitt as being the guy, but if you want to make some swerves, I don't mind Doyle.
Absolutely. So I think these are 4 solid options for you heading into the weekend. Enjoy the Patriots Texans game tonight. I probably won't, as I'll be fading it in my cash games if I play cash on Thursday. But hopefully you have a good time, and you as well, Jason.
Thank you. I think a lot of us are looking for Julian Edelman to at least take one snap under center tonight.
Oh my God, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
It would. It would. Because you know what?
Yeah.
I would love to see what happens. But who the hell is he going to throw to?
Well, Gronk, who knows? We'll see if Gronk plays. Maybe, I don't know. Belichick will have something figured out by the 10 minutes into the game. But anyway, that's enough from us. Thanks for tuning in. As always, check out Daily Fantasy Cafe for all our great tools and content. And if you like the video and like what we're doing here, don't be afraid to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We will see you guys in week 4.